In the vast expanse of the galactic conference hall, He-Jin sat quietly, her alien fingers nervously tapping against her digital notepad. The annual Interstellar Academic Conference was about to begin, and she was here to present her research on potential aggressive civilizations. Her eyes scanned the room, stopping at a group of human diplomats who seemed strangely calm. Jae-sung stood near the window, his dark eyes reflecting the starlight outside. He was part of the human diplomatic team, dressed in a simple navy blue suit that seemed almost too plain for such an important gathering. Around him, delegates from various star systems whispered and cast suspicious glances. The conference was supposed to discuss potential conflicts in the Orion sector, a region rich with resources and historical tensions. He-Jin had spent years studying human behavioral patterns, convinced they were a violent species that would eventually trigger a massive galactic war. Her research was built on centuries of documented human conflicts, wars, and territorial disputes. As the first speaker approached the podium, something unexpected happened. Instead of aggressive posturing or defensive statements, the human representative began with a surprising approach. Jae-sung's colleague, a woman named Yuna, started her presentation by discussing mutual understanding and collaborative problem-solving. He-Jin leaned forward, her recording device capturing every word. The humans were talking about shared resources, collaborative research, and preventing potential conflicts before they could escalate. It was unlike anything she had ever heard in previous diplomatic meetings. The alien researcher noticed how the human diplomats moved, calm, calculated, but with an underlying sense of compassion that seemed almost contradictory to her previous research. They weren't showing weakness. They were demonstrating a complex understanding of interspecies relationships that went beyond simple territorial disputes. Seok-ho, an older alien commander sitting nearby, looked visibly frustrated. His species had expected the humans to be aggressive, to demand territories and resources with military might. Instead, these humans were proposing shared exploration, joint scientific missions, and mutual economic benefits. During a short break, He-Jin approached Jae-sung, her curiosity overriding her professional caution. "How do you manage to remain so calm?" she asked, her translator converting her native language into perfect English. Jae-sung smiled, a gesture that seemed both welcoming and slightly sad. "We've learned that conflict is expensive," he explained. "Not just in resources, but in lives, in potential in the future we could build together." His words struck He-Jin differently. She had expected a rehearsed diplomatic response, but this felt genuine. The human wasn't just speaking about avoiding war, he was speaking about preventing suffering. The conference continued, and with each passing hour, He-Jin's carefully constructed research began to crumble. The humans weren't presenting themselves as conquerors or aggressive expansionists. They were offering partnerships, sharing technologies, and suggesting mechanisms for peaceful coexistence. As the first day of the conference concluded, He-Jin realized her entire academic understanding was being challenged. The humans she had studied, the civilization she had labeled as potentially destructive, were showing a level of diplomatic sophistication she had never anticipated. Her digital notepad was filled with new observations. Question marks replaced her previous definitive statements. The title of her research paper, which was supposed to be a warning about human aggression, now seemed laughably incorrect. Jae-sung walked past her, offering a small nod of acknowledgement. In that moment, He-Jin understood that her journey of understanding was just beginning. The humans were not what her research had suggested. They were something far more complex, far more nuanced. The first day of the conference had changed everything she thought she knew about human civilization. And this was just the beginning. The Orion sector stretched before them, a vast expanse of darkness punctuated by distant stars and resource-rich planetary systems. Tensions were high as the human and alien delegations approached the contested region, each side carefully measuring their next move. He-Jin watched from the observation deck of the diplomatic vessel, her mind still reeling from the previous conference. Jae-sung stood nearby, his posture relaxed but his eyes sharp and observant. The star system they were approaching had been a source of potential conflict for decades, a region with rare mineral deposits that could power entire civilizations. Siak Ho, the alien military commander, had prepared for confrontation. His battleships lined up behind the diplomatic vessels, weapons charged and ready. He expected the humans to either surrender or fight. Those were the only two outcomes he understood from centuries of galactic conflicts. But the humans were different. As they entered the system, Jae-sung requested an open communication channel. His first move was not to claim territory or threaten military action. Instead, he proposed a joint exploration mission. The proposal was so unexpected that it momentarily confused both the alien military and diplomatic teams. "We've detected significant mineral deposits," Jae-sung explained calmly. "But extraction would be dangerous and potentially destructive to the local planetary ecosystem. What if we could develop a sustainable approach that benefits everyone?" Hee-jin watched in fascination. Her previous research suggested humans would fight for resources. Instead, they were offering collaboration when everyone expected conflict. Siak Ho's communication officer looked confused. "You want to share the resources?" he asked, his translator rendering his alien language into clear English. "Not just share," Yuna interjected, "but develop a method that preserves the ecological balance and provides sustainable benefits for both our civilizations." The next few hours became a masterclass in diplomatic negotiation. The humans didn't just present a proposal. They brought detailed scientific research, ecological impact studies, and potential technological solutions that would minimize environmental damage. Hee-jin's digital notepad was working overtime. She recorded every conversation, every subtle gesture, every unexpected turn of the negotiation. This was nothing like the aggressive territorial disputes she had studied throughout her academic career. Siak Ho grew increasingly frustrated. His military training prepared him for confrontation, not collaboration. The humans were dismantling his entire strategic approach without firing a single weapon. "We could take this system by force," Siak Ho muttered, more to himself than to anyone else. But even as he said it, he knew the global political consequences would be severe. Jae-sung seemed to read his thoughts. "War is expensive," he said softly. "Not just in resources, but in potential lost. Every conflict destroys more than it gains." The negotiations continued for days. Hee-jin watched as the humans consistently chose understanding over aggression. They presented technological solutions that would benefit both civilizations. They showed how shared research could be more valuable than territorial conquest. By the end of the week, something extraordinary happened. Instead of a territorial conflict, they had created a joint scientific mission. The rare minerals would be extracted using environmentally friendly methods with benefits shared equally between their civilizations. Siak Ho looked defeated, but not in the way he expected. He wasn't beaten by force, but by a logic more complex than military strategy. The humans had won through intelligence, compassion, and strategic thinking. Ye-jin realized she was witnessing something revolutionary. This wasn't just a diplomatic negotiation. This was a fundamental reimagining of interspecies relations. As the joint mission preparation began, Jae-sung caught Ye-jin's eye and smiled. It was a smile that seemed to say, "We are not what you expected." And in that moment, Ye-jin knew. Her entire understanding of human civilization was about to change forever. The neutral diplomatic station hung like a silent witness in the darkness of space. Hee-jin stood at the observation window, watching as Jae-sung prepared for what might be the most critical negotiation of the decade. Inside the conference room, tensions simmered beneath a calm surface. Representatives from multiple star systems waited, their expectations ranging from hope to deep skepticism. Jae-sung carried with him a presentation that would challenge everything they understood about conflict resolution. "Suffering is not just a personal experience," he began, his voice calm but carrying a weight that silenced the room. "It's a collective memory that connects all sentient beings." Hee-jin watched through the digital feed, her recording device, capturing every nuance. The humans were about to reveal something extraordinary, an approach to conflict that went beyond simple diplomacy. Jae-sung pulled up historical records, images of war, destruction, and recovery. But these weren't just statistics. Each image told a story of loss, of families torn apart, of civilizations struggling to rebuild. He wasn't just presenting data. He was sharing a collective human understanding of pain. Every conflict has a cost beyond resources, he explained. The true price is paid in potential. Each life lost is a universe of possibilities destroyed. The alien representatives shifted uncomfortably. This was not the typical diplomatic language they expected. Xiaoko, the military commander, looked particularly uncomfortable. His entire career had been built on the premise of strategic confrontation. Yuna stepped forward, presenting a series of technological and social solutions that could prevent potential conflicts. It wasn't just about avoiding war. It was about creating systems that made war unnecessary. She shared examples from human history, how nations that were once bitter enemies became close allies through understanding, economic cooperation, and shared goals. Each example was a testament to the human capacity for transformation. Haijin's digital notepad was filling with notes that challenged everything in her previous research. These humans were presenting mercy not as a weakness, but as the most advanced form of strategic thinking. The most surprising moment came when Jae-sung introduced a radical proposal. Instead of traditional conflict resolution, he suggested a comprehensive system of mutual understanding. It wasn't about winning or losing, but about finding solutions that benefited all parties. Mercy is not surrender, he said, his voice cutting through the room's tension. It's the most intelligent response to complex challenges. The alien representatives were stunned. They had expected demands, territorial claims, or military posturing. Instead, they received a comprehensive approach to preventing suffering. Xiaoko finally spoke, his voice a mixture of frustration and reluctant respect. How can mercy prevent conflict? He challenged. Jae-sung smiled, not a triumphant smile, but one of deep understanding. By recognizing that every being has value, by understanding that our differences are opportunities, not threats. The presentation continued, breaking down complex concepts into simple, powerful ideas. They showed how technological sharing, economic cooperation, and mutual understanding could replace traditional conflict mechanisms. Ye-jin watched in awe. Her entire academic career had been built on studying potential conflicts. Now she was witnessing a completely different approach to interspecies relations. As the presentation concluded, something extraordinary happened. The room that had been filled with tension now buzzed with a different energy, hope, curiosity, and a newfound respect. Jae-sung had done more than present a diplomatic strategy. He had demonstrated a fundamental human characteristic, the ability to see beyond immediate challenges and imagine a more connected future. Ye-jin realized she was witnessing a profound moment. This wasn't just a diplomatic meeting. This was a reimagining of how intelligent civilizations could interact. The humans had just shown that mercy wasn't just an emotional response. It was the most advanced form of strategic thinking in the universe. The Galactic Research Institute stood as a beacon of academic pursuit, its gleaming halls filled with researchers from countless star systems. Ye-jin sat in the central auditorium, her hands trembling slightly as she prepared to present her groundbreaking research on human civilization. Months of intense study had transformed her understanding completely. The humans were no longer the aggressive species she once believed them to be. They were something far more complex, far more nuanced. Jae-sung sat in the back of the auditorium, a silent observer to Haijin's presentation. He knew what was coming. A complete deconstruction of traditional alien perspectives about human nature. Humans are not defined by their capacity for destruction, Ye-jin began, her voice steady but filled with passion. They are defined by their capacity for understanding. She began by presenting historical examples that challenged everything researchers previously believed. Wars that could have happened but didn't. Conflicts resolved through diplomacy, understanding, and mutual respect. The digital screens behind her filled with images. Human communities rebuilding after disasters, sharing resources with those who were once their enemies. creating systems of support that went beyond national or planetary boundaries. Seok-ho, now retired but still present, watched with a mixture of frustration and grudging respect. The military commander who once believed in absolute conflict was now witnessing a complete dismantling of traditional strategic thinking. Hee-jin explained the human concept of empathy, not as a weakness, but as a sophisticated evolutionary strategy. She showed how humans developed technologies and social systems that prioritized collective well-being over individual gain. Their mercy is not passive, she explained. It is an active form of intelligence that prevents conflict before it begins. The most shocking revelations came from human approaches to problem solving. They didn't just avoid war, they created systems that made war unnecessary. Economic models, educational exchanges, cultural understanding programs, all designed to build bridges instead of walls. She shared studies of human decision-making processes, how they could simultaneously understand multiple perspectives, how they could transform potential enemies into allies through genuine understanding. The auditorium grew silent. Researchers from different star systems leaned forward, their previous assumptions crumbling with each slide of Hye-jin's presentation. Jae-sung watched silently, a small smile playing on his lips. He knew this was more than an academic presentation. This was a fundamental shift in galactic understanding. Hye-jin's research exposed the depth of human complexity. They were not a species defined by their ability to fight, but by their ability to connect, to understand, to transform potential conflicts into opportunities for growth. She presented case studies of human diplomatic missions, showing how they approached different civilizations with a unique blend of respect, curiosity, and genuine desire to understand. The most powerful moment came when she revealed the core of human strategic thinking. It wasn't about winning or losing. It was about creating systems where everyone could thrive. Seok-ho, who had spent his entire career preparing for conflict, now sat with tears in his eyes. The military commander was witnessing a completely new approach to interspecies relations. Hye-jin concluded her presentation. The auditorium erupted in a mixture of applause, shock, and profound understanding. She had done more than present research. She had opened a window into a completely new way of thinking about intelligence and civilization. Jae-sung approached her after the presentation, extending his hand. "You've shown them who we really are," he said quietly. Hee-jin realized she had become more than a researcher. She had become a bridge between civilizations, challenging everything they thought they knew about humanity. The universe would never be the same again. The Interstellar Academic Summit was unlike any gathering in galactic history. Representatives from hundreds of star systems gathered, their eyes fixed on a single stage where Hye-jin would present her final thesis about human civilization. Years of research had led to this moment. Jae-sung sat in the front row, a silent guardian of the truth about to be revealed. The entire hall buzzed with anticipation. "Humanity is not what we thought," Hye-jin began, her voice clear and confident. "They are a civilization built on the most complex understanding of survival, mercy as a strategic mechanism." Her presentation unfolded like a cosmic revelation. She demonstrated how humans transformed potential conflicts into opportunities for collaboration. Each slide showed moments where human beings chose understanding over destruction, connection over separation. Seok-ho, now an elder statesman, watched with tears in his eyes. The former military commander who once believed in absolute conflict now understood the profound complexity of human approach to survival. Hye-jin revealed the depth of human philosophical thinking. They didn't just avoid war, they created systems that made war unnecessary. Economic models, cultural exchange programs, collaborative scientific missions, all designed to build bridges between different civilizations. The digital screens behind her showed remarkable transformations. Planets that were once on the brink of conflict now shared resources, technologies, and mutual understanding. Humans had become the unexpected architects of galactic peace. She explained how human empathy was not a weakness, but the most advanced form of intelligence. Their ability to understand multiple perspectives simultaneously made them unique in the universe. Mercy is not surrender, she proclaimed. It is the most sophisticated survival strategy any civilization can develop. The audience sat in complete silence. Researchers, military leaders, diplomatic representatives, all were witnessing a fundamental shift in understanding intelligent life. Jae-sung remembered the countless diplomatic missions, the years of patient negotiations, the moments when human representatives chose understanding over conflict. Now those efforts were being recognized on a galactic stage. Ye-jin's research exposed the true nature of human potential. They were not a species defined by their ability to fight, but by their capacity to transform, to connect, to imagine peaceful solutions. She presented case studies of human interventions, conflicts prevented, resources shared, technologies developed for collective benefit. Each example challenged traditional understanding of interspecies relations. The most powerful moment came when she revealed the core of human philosophical approach. It wasn't about winning or losing. It was about creating systems where every civilization could thrive. As she concluded her presentation, something extraordinary happened. The entire hall stood in a moment of collective understanding. Aliens who had once seen humans as potential threats now saw them as partners, as teachers of a new way of thinking. Seok-ho approached Ye-jin after the presentation. The old military commander, who had spent his entire career preparing for conflict, now extended his hand in genuine respect. "You have shown us a different path," he said, his voice filled with emotion. Jae-sung watched from a distance, understanding that this was more than an academic presentation. This was a transformative moment for galactic civilization. Ye-jin realized she had become more than a researcher. She had become a bridge between civilizations, challenging everything they thought they knew about intelligence, survival, and potential. The universe had changed, and humans had been the unexpected architects of that change. In that moment, everything was possible. The future was not about conflict, but about understanding, not about separation, but about connection. Mercy had become the most powerful weapon in the universe.